Hello, this is Yvonne Teoh Bource from Connect to Soul with your weekly soul wisdom for the week of April the 9th. So this week, I want to talk about something that is very common and causes a lot of suffering, and that is the way we give our power away. And we do it without recognizing it, understanding it, and the ability to stop doing it. So I thought I'd look today at, or this week, I'd look at the ways that we give our power away and, of course, how to not do it. But before we do that, I would like to bring our attention back to what it is like to live connected to soul, which is my passion and what I aim for all the time. And talking about that, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that we find our true essence. Our true essence is a vibrational frequency that we find, and when we're in it, everything feels right. We feel at peace, we feel content, we feel secure, we feel aligned, and life seems to flow. It doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have any challenges. It just means that it flows. We might have a challenge, but the solution becomes available really quickly. And so when we are in that space of alignment with our true vibrational signature, as I call it, that is when we know that we are living our true essence in alignment with who we truly are, underneath all of the conditioned material that we tend, and the stories that we tend to live out all the time, until we come to the decision that we want to get rid of it. So today is partly about getting rid of the stories that allow us to give away our power, because when we give away our power, we get out of alignment with our truth. We get out of alignment with our vibrational frequency and our vibrational signature. Now, I talk a lot about that, and I do want to tell you that that is actually the material that I do in depth in the Inspired Manifestation Masterclass, which we begin another course here in Frankston on April the 18th. And yes, look, I will look at later in the year to see if I can make that into an online course. I have designed to do it, in person, which makes it a little bit more difficult to then put it online. However, I never say never, so who knows? So this understanding of the vibrational frequency is that we are in an energetic universe, and that energy has a vibrational frequency, and we're either aligned with that frequency or we're not. And each individual has their own vibrational signature as an expression of this energy field. So when we are in alignment with that, we feel great. But when we are not, we don't feel great. And the problem with that is that when we don't feel great, what we tend to do is look outside of ourselves to see what is taking us away from that good feeling. The minute we do that, we're giving our power away. We're giving our power away to an external force, and that could be anything. It can be. Look, this morning I actually got ready to do this video clip quite early, but when I turned on my computer, I got distracted by something else that I have to do down the track, and I got caught up in that. And 2 hours later, I suddenly realized I'd given my power of concentration away to something else, and I had put this aside, and I went, oh, how did I do that? So anything outside that takes you away from where you are going where your intentions are aimed at, that is something that takes your power away. When I talk about power, what is power? Power is that ability to be in control of your life, to make conscious decisions, and to be able to take yourself to the outcomes that you desire. I was going to talk about the many ways that we give our power away. And when I think about that, we give our power away for reasons. And the most obvious reason is for approval of others, to fit in, to avoid being criticized, to avoid being ridiculed, to be accepted. We are conscious and constantly focused on other people to get an idea of whether we're all right or not. Now, that comes from very early conditioning, and it comes from the way that we are schooled, of course, because you have to fit in and you have to get your ticks, because if you get crosses, you get a fail, and therefore you're obviously not successful according to the school system. So we are conditioned to constantly look for validation to others. And that in itself takes us immediately away from our essence, our truth. And it's because of that we all have this issue where we tend to give our power to other people to tell us whether we're okay or not. And it feels awful. You know that when somebody says something to you that's hurtful, instantly you are bereft and you go, what did I do? But you see, this problem with that is that the other person is looking at you through their eyes and through their experiences and through their mood at the time, and has absolutely nothing to do with you. But we don't recognize that in that moment that hurt is there. Instead of going, hang on a minute, is this my stuff? I have now got a rule in my life that when somebody says something to me about me, I always question, is this my stuff? Or is it just them telling me, how they're feeling at the moment? And is it something I need to address in me? Or do I just have to be there and go, and leave them alone and leave whatever they say alone, and because it's nothing to do with me? That is being empowered. That's being able to be conscious in the moment and only take on board that which is going to keep you in your vibrational frequency space, or as Abraham and Esther Hicks says, in your vortex. That's what she calls it. And I look at it as my true essence, that part of me that vibrates to its own tune. And when I'm in tune with that tune, all is well. When I allow myself to step out of it, then all goes awry. And I find that in relationship is when we give our powers away, most of the time. And so I really would like you to become observant this week and say, where do I give my power away? Where do I change me to please somebody else? Where do I allow something outside of me to make me feel bad, or to think that it makes me feel bad? Because nothing outside of you can make you feel bad. What makes you feel bad is the attachment to it, the story that you run about it inside your head. That is what takes you off your center. That is what makes you disempowered. One of the greatest disempowered thoughts and stories that we run is the not good enough. Never feeling good enough, never seeming to, come up to your own expectations or the expectations of others. At the moment, we've got, of course, the Commonwealth Games here in Australia, and I love watching swimming. it's a very individual sport, even though they are competing against other people. It really doesn't matter where you come. It's wonderful if you come first or second or third, whatever it is. But what they swim for is their personal best. And if they get a PB, as they call it, then they're so excited because they're really, the competition is against themselves. They are there to improve themselves all the time. And they often talk about swimming their own race. And if you listen to athletes, they say, I have to run my race. The moment that I worry about the other guy and I alter my race plan to fit in with the other guy, I'm lost. I'm done. It's finished. And that's the same in our life. When we run our own race, when we live our life in our own flow, then everything is fine. But the minute that we try to alter our flow to fit in with somebody else's race, we get out of that alignment. We get out of the vortex, as Abraham calls it. Instantly, we don't know where we're going. And then to catch up and to be able to find that alignment again takes time. So look at your life and go, where do I allow myself to give power to an external force that takes me off feeling good, which takes me off feeling aligned with me? It happens a lot, as I said, in relationships. We sell our soul literally to be loved. It's pretty sad, really, when you think about it. But we do. We have this thing about, oh, please love me. Oh, what can I do for you to love me? The thing is that when you learn to really love yourself, when you really understand who you are and how amazing you are, and not just you, but everyone is amazing. We are living, as I often say, in the most amazing piece of technology. And when you learn how to operate yourself to an optimum, irrespective of the other guy, again, I'll go back to swimming, because last night I was listening to one of the swimmers was saying that if he could just put everything together, he remembered a time when everything went beautifully and he had this euphoric experience, and he hasn't had it since. And so he keeps remembering it, and he says, if I can just put all the pieces together and I get it all right, then I can have it again. But what he didn't realize is that in the moment that it happened, he wasn't putting pieces together. He was just following his essence. And of course, because he was thinking that he had to put all these pieces together, he never gets there, because he misses what is actually happening, how it actually works. It's the letting go and going, you know what? I'm just going to follow my game plan and I'm just going to give it my all and it'll work. And then it does. But when you've got to think about, I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and I've got to do that, something else, to please somebody else, to win something, to be successful at something. Yes, of course we have to do the doing. But the doing comes after the being. It doesn't come before the being. We get it back to front. If I do this, I'll feel better. If I do that, that person will love me. If I do this, no. If I am this, I'll feel better. And if I am this, they'll feel better. Because if I feel better, everyone feels better. But if I'm struggling, that energy, our energy radiates. So people can feel you before they understand what the heck you're about. So the more love that you can radiate, the more everyone will fall in step with you. But when you are struggling and you are in judgment and you are in a situation of desperate to make people care about you or to appreciate you or to approve of you, you're so far removed from your center. Because when you are centered, when you are in that space of it's very difficult to put into words, of well-being. That, I guess that's the best word I can use, of well-being. Then people want to be with you because there's a calm about you. There isn't this constant need to be okay because you are okay. So how do we actually get out of this disempowering habit of giving our power away to outside forces? Well, the first thing I want to say is that when you are in a situation where you give your power away to other people in relationships where you want them to approve of you and you feel hurt by them because you don't feel that they accept you or recognize you enough. Whenever you are in relationship, always have dialogue with people from I messages. We have a tendency to say, you hurt me. And it didn't. You hurt you. You hurt you by the story that you ran from whatever they said or did. You don't have to be hurt by it. You can say, oh, okay, that's how you feel. Well, I'm sorry about that, but this is how I feel. Always express yourself from an I perspective. I feel this way. This is how this affects me. This is how this is influencing or impacting on my life. When you speak like that, people can't argue with that. They can't say, well, it's not how you feel. It doesn't mean that you want them to fix it. You're owning your feelings and then you can fix it. Because then you can take care of you. You can nurture you. You can ask yourself, what is it that I need right now? I need to feel loved. Well, the first person that can love you is you. I'm going to do something really special for me so I'll feel pampered. I don't need somebody else to do that. Not at all. The other thing that I really want to bring up is that when you use the I have and the I am, we say I am tired, then instantly you are giving your power to the tiredness. But when you say I feel tired, try it. You'll see that it has a very different energy shift in you. The moment you say I am, you can say I feel tired, but I am looking after myself and I am going to have a rest so that I will no longer feel tired. It's a very different attitude. We often say, I'm so exhausted. Well, you have become that exhaustion. But if you say, I've been very busy and I feel a bit exhausted, so what is my body telling me? My body's telling me, rest, woman, rest. Okay, you need to regain your energy before you do anything else. You just have to listen. The other word that we use a lot is I have. I have this and I have that, which is fantastic. If you use I have a wonderful life, I have beautiful friends, I have beautiful family, I have a magnificent abundance. Yes, that's fantastic. But we don't. We so often use the I have. Oh, I have a sore throat. Oh, I have this, I have that. It's usually to do with ill health. But when you say, I have the power to heal, we talked a lot about that last week. I have the power to heal. So any time that my body doesn't feel completely itself or how it wants to, I go, I have the power to heal. I listened to my kids the other day because they were talking about what was the best medicine to take when you have colds, and so they looked at me and they said, well, what do you use, Mum? And I said, well, I don't, because I don't do colds. And they looked at me and they said, what do you mean you don't do colds? And I said, well, I've told my body we don't do colds. So the moment that I get a sniffle or I feel that there is something in my throat tickling, I just say to my body, hey, remember, we don't do colds. And it usually goes away. But you see, I'm very strong about that, and my body and I have an agreement about that. But if you believe that you can catch a cold, then you better have some medication that works for you. And so they just rolled their eyes at their mother and thought, oh, okay, they're not quite there. So they decided to stick with whatever they were using. And that worked for them, which is fantastic. Go for it. Whatever works for you, right? Um, so this is not about being perfect. This is about being human. It's about allowing yourself to be vulnerable at times. But when you are in a state where you feel disempowered and you feel powerless, please examine why. What have you given your power away to? We do it a lot. When we go and see a doctor, we give our power away. And I talked about that last week, so I'm not going to repeat myself. And we give our power away to our so-called loved ones to keep the peace. Oh, we women are good at that, are we not? To keep the peace, right? We put up with a whole lot of rubbish that actually we ought to say, you know what, excuse me, this is unacceptable. My children, I can tell you, if, on my epitaph, they're probably going to say, this is not acceptable because the words are repeated continuously when they misbehaved. I would just say this is not acceptable. We have to be much more discerning about what is acceptable to us in life and what is not acceptable. And when I say that, that acceptability has to be, is that a word? Anyway, it sounds good. It has to be in alignment with your essence, your vibrational signature. And when it is, it feels good. And when it isn't, it doesn't feel good. I hope that some of this is actually resonating with you, and I really would love some comments about it because, it's an awful feeling when you feel disempowered, when you hold a grudge. Oh my goodness, how disempowering is that? Somebody did something to me about 10 years ago. I haven't spoken to them since. Well, for the last 10 years, you've given your power to that person, and they don't even know it. They don't even care, right? But you do it every day. And you think that you're doing that because they did something wrong. So what? We're all human and we all do things sometimes that we ought not to do. It doesn't make people bad. I can't believe it. I was talking, to a friend. I have a friend whose family sometimes the kids don't talk to each other, and I just can't believe it. I just go, I wouldn't accept that in my family. But I'm very strong about those things, and I live in a place of love. And if you want to be in my life, then you'd better be in a place of love because I don't settle for anything less. But that doesn't mean that we don't. And love means that you forgive people, that you have tolerance, that you have that you accept people warts and all. Love and judgment can't live in the same house. So when you are judging people or criticizing people, you're actually giving your power away. When you love people, that's empowering. When you love yourself, that's empowering. We give our power away in work a lot. We put up with things because we're afraid that we might lose our jobs. It takes you out of your center. Go to work because you want to. Do work because it feels good. If you're in a space where it doesn't feel good doing the work that you do, you have two choices. The first choice is you leave and you find something that is going to feel good. But if you feel that you can't leave because of financial situations or whatever, then find a way to make that work feel good by looking for why you're doing it. And if why you're doing it is fulfilling something that you need, then that is the reason you go to work. And everything that you have to do at work then just becomes an end product of, I'm doing this because it's giving me what I need. Instead of focusing on the work itself, you focus on what you need. Instead of going, I hate my job, but I can't change it. Well, that doesn't sound empowering, it doesn't sound joyful, and it definitely is completely out of alignment with who you truly are. So then you have those two choices. You either choose to change the job and find other work that you love, or you realize why the heck you're doing it and you go to work because it's giving you what you need. It's a pretty simple choice, really. You don't have to do anything. Just change the story in here. It's all about our stories. Our stories are the greatest influence of losing our power. We run these ridiculous stories about things without knowing the facts, without being able to understand things, or just we repeat stories by hearsay. It's such a waste of power. I've said often, I am more fussy about where I spend my energy than where I spend my money, because my energy needs to be spent where it is going to be in alignment with me and where it's going to offer me enrichment, enhancement, and expansion. And if it doesn't, then I pull my energy in and hold it pretty close until I can move into a space where I can expand it again. Because it is absolutely useless to me to be spending energy on something that is not expansive. Not expansive for me, where I don't feel, yes, that was something that's added to me. But a lot of the time, we just slog on, and we don't take time out to take stock of where we spend our energy. So that's my challenge to you today, is really have a good look at where you are feeling within your power, where you feel empowered, and where you feel you're giving your power away. And if you're giving your power away to get love or approval from others, let it go. Give the love and the approval you're seeking out there to you, and everything will be fine. Not always easy to do, but keep at it. So before I did this clip, I did pull a card, and well, no, I didn't actually. I picked up the cards, and I said, "Oh, is there a card here that would, be suitable for what I'm talking about?" And it just went whoosh straight out. And guess what? That is what came out: assertiveness. Absolutely, we do need to be assertive about our needs, about what is right for us. Okay. And it says here, assertiveness, this situation can be healed gently with love. Well, that's what I'm always talking about. Whenever you bring it back to love, you bring it back to your own power. Yet there's also a need for your strength and truthfulness with other people involved. As I said, always speak from our messages, always from, this is how I feel, this is how it affects me. And so the guides here say, we will stand right behind you as you speak your truth, giving you strength and guiding your words. When you are aligned with yourself, with this vortex, with this energetic signature, then you will always be guided to have the right words. Every time I sit down to speak with you, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. Well, I have a topic that I have, but I don't write a script. I just sit and I allow the words to come, and I trust in that implicitly. So that you can do too. When you are aligned with you, the words will come, the action will come, the love will come, and the empowerment will be yours. So stop giving your power away outside and bring it in to your heart where it belongs. So I wish you a beautiful week and love yourself more. The more you love yourself, the more empowered you will become. Have a great week. Love you, love yourself, and just embrace life.